watched a movie I've been wanting to watch for a while. It's Adam Sandler is in a new movie that he got a lot of praise for. They talked about Oscars.
I started it.
The movie is called Uncut Gems, and it's on Netflix.
Yeah, I want to know your take on this.
It got a huge critical reception.
He was supposed to be
nominated for an Oscar. Yep. So I'm like, I've been wanting to check this out for a while, but I had heard,
Me too.
that he plays a bad guy and that it's like kind of a movie where there's not like a lot of redeeming characters.
Yeah.
So I've just not been in the mood to watch something like that.
I can understand that.
But anyway, so I had some time.
I honestly just saw how long it was, and I was like, I don't have that time to watch that right now.
But I checked it out. Interesting movie, I will say that. It was not what I expected it was at all.
Really?
So right now it's got a 92% on Rotten Tomatoes for critic score and a 52% for audience score.
Wow.
Which is a wide disparity. And I will tell you what, I completely understand that. Critically, like a lot of the performances and the filmmaking is different than what you see for the most part. So
different than what you would normally see.
Like novel. It was fairly novel.
Okay.
So I could see that as being interesting to people. Adam Sandler was extremely good in it. Like his performance as an actor, I thought was really good. One of his best ever. That being said, he is not a likable character at all.
Right.
And and by the way, I guess some spoilers. I don't want to spoil it too much because I think Jerry might.
I'm going to finish it. Yeah.
There aren't any likable characters in it, really, any to speak of. So that's the one thing I will say about it. It is a very exciting movie from the point of view of it's nonstop and you are always kind of on the edge of your seat.
Like wondering what's coming next.
It's just a very fast-paced movie. All right.
Is it really?
Yes.
I didn't get that from the beginning.
Yeah, maybe not quite at the very beginning, but it becomes very quickly a pretty fast-paced movie, and almost like manic.
Oh,
I would describe it as manic,
which makes sense because that's kind of how his character is.
And that's
in the beginning is
how
manic.
It's filmed, the style. It's got a really, first of all, it's got a really interesting soundtrack that I don't know that I liked, but I thought it was like set in the 80s, but it's not.
No,
it's set in current times.
Yeah, I don't think it is.
Or relatively current times, but it's got like a weird 80s soundtrack and like look to it, which is interesting. I think the whole world of like this jewelry world area that they're in New York City is interesting. I'm sure it's.
I think it's like real.
I'm sure it's real. I'm sure it's real, and it's very interesting. But basically, you're following Adam Sandler's character, who is a jeweler who owns a high-end jewelry boutique, but he's like a degenerate gambler.
Yes.
And he owes money all over town, and he's being chased constantly by people that he owes money to. So, in that respect, there is at no point in the movie where you feel at any sort of ease. It is a high anxiety movie, to the point where like I'm already under a lot of stress right now and anxiety in my life, and like I feel like it was a detriment to my life to watch this movie.
Oh my gosh!
Like it's just undue anxiety that I didn't need in my life.
Wow!
And you feel it. Like if that was their goal in this movie, which I assume that it was, to elicit an emotional response to a movie, the emotional response
they were successful.
Is anxiety.
Okay.
It's an anxiety-inducing movie. It is like that's why I say like you're on the edge of your seat, but not necessarily in a good way. It's just like it's what shoe's going to drop next. Like how's he going to get from here to there? You know what I mean?
So my thing is like a movie like that gets me angry rather than
this movie
anxious. Like it doesn't make me anxious. It would be like, oh, come on.
This movie could make you angry, but most likely it'll make you anxious and
you think
possibly
so?
A little bit angry. It'll make you angry at the end that you watched it.
I just look. Oh, really?
I didn't like it. I didn't like this movie very much. There's no likable characters. I don't like feeling anxious and anxiety ridden for a movie. I don't find that entertaining.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of redeeming story here. There is a twist ending, which I'm glad they did. And it really, it builds you up to this certain point that's going to happen. And then the whole thing is changed at the end.
Okay.
In a weirdly satisfying yet unsatisfying way.
All right.
So it's interesting in that respect.
Yeah, I like that idea. It's
another annoying thing though.
It's like an M. Night Shyamalan twist. Huh?
Yeah, kind of. Another annoying thing is the dialogue. It's nonstop. Just everybody is constantly talking over each other. Like there will be four people
really
talking
annoying.
all the time, all over each other, and like I swear to God,
you didn't know where to follow.
There is no point in this movie where people stop talking.
Wow.
It's like filmed in that way that's almost like it's supposed to be like
overwhelming.
Yes, it is supposed to be overwhelming, but also like it's supposed to be like the camera is just a fly on the wall that's catching,
sure,
real conversation.
Yeah, I get it.
It's a bit much. I can't, in any good conscience, recommend anybody to watch it.
Really,
it has.
You won't recommend anyone to watch this?
No, it has.
Okay.
It has some. It has some interesting things, and it has some redeeming features, and it has some good performances, and it has some novel things. But it is not an enjoyable way to spend 2 hours of your life.
That sounds terrible, to be honest. Like, it sounds...
Am I glad I watched it? Yeah, I guess. But, I don't know. The ending is, if anything, just for the ending, which is interesting. And there's some interesting things that happen in the movie, but it was just all a little much for me. I guess I can see the critics score being high. I can't imagine it being Oscar nominated though. So anyway, that was my take on the movie. I think you should still finish it.
Yeah, I plan on it. This was made by the Safdie brothers.
Yeah, and I don't know anything about them.
I don't either, but I've heard so many people talk.
Filmmakers.
Yeah, I know, acclaimed. But then if you look at feature film titles, there's The Pleasure of Being Robbed in 2008. Daddy Longlegs, 2009.
I've heard of that. I've not seen it.
Lenny Cook, Heaven Knows What, 2014. Good Time, 2017. And Uncut Gems, 2019.
Yeah, so not like a ton.
Good Time. I feel like I know this one. American crime thriller film. John and Benny Safdie. Robert Pattinson is in it as a bank robber desperately trying to get enough money to pay the bail.
Well, I'm going to tell you, after seeing this movie, I probably don't need to see any of their other movies. It's not my thing.
Apparently they've been really good, but I don't know any of their stuff. So, yeah, it didn't seem like it was going to be my thing. I stopped it because my kids were around.
Yeah,
I started watching it.
Not kid friendly.
Yeah, I started watching it without the kids around, and then they happened to arrive, and I had to shut it off. And I haven't went back to it, and it hasn't been something that I was like, man, I need to turn that back on.
It kept my attention. I'm not saying it didn't keep my attention. I wasn't bored. I just didn't need it in my life.
You're right. You just didn't need that undue anxiety. I get it.
So if you're into like anxiety, fast paced, I don't want to say thriller because it's not a thriller, but it's like
you don't think it is, huh?
It's definitely not a thriller. I wouldn't call it that. I don't
just
know.
Following a man in his miserable ass life.
Yeah, pretty much. Which
like trying to get out of.
I don't
debt.
have a precedent for not enjoying that. Like I love the movie American Splendor.
Oh yeah,
which is
that's a good movie.
Following a man in his miserable life.
Yeah.
Or Sideways, same thing. I like those types of movies.
Yeah.
This is not that. It's like a thriller without action.
Okay.
It's like a thriller in
a thriller
anxiety. I don't know how another way to say it. Like,
yeah, I wouldn't call it a thriller though.
It's about a guy who owes money all over the place that's just trying to keep balls in the air and make one deal so he can make the last deal pay off.
So you know what I felt about
it's like the same pawn shops. It's like a real life pawn shop movie.
I felt that about Ozark.
It is. It's similar to Ozark.
And that's why I didn't care for Ozark, to be honest. Like I get chastised for that because
everybody
loves Ozark.
I do like Ozark. Ozark's got better story and actual drama.
And the characters are a little bit more likable in that show, and I can understand
this
that.
gives you a lot of the same type of feel. If you like Ozark, you might like this movie.
So I don't necessarily care for the first season that I watched, only because it felt like there was no possible way out of this.
Well, that's what this movie feels like all the time.
And so
But-
I can assume
But you're always
I won't care for it.
No, but see, not necessarily, because in this movie,
It's an assumption. I don't know.
You're with him on his journey to make it pay off at the end.
Well, I know that, but you're also thinking that of Ozark. Like, you're thinking you're on this journey to where he's going to successfully get out of whatever he's getting out of, or,
Right.
Whatever. Like, on every movie you watch, you have that hope of the main character is getting out of this problem. Like, the problem arises, you work through that problem, and at the end, they solve the problem.
Yeah.
Good, bad, or indifferent, they end up solving the problem, and that's the ending. And the ending is what people say, like, I either liked it or didn't like it, and that's what they judge the movie on. But these shows are a ride that looks to be a complete dead end, to where it's like there's no way out of it. You've built it up.
That's not what this is.
That's how I felt about Ozark, is
Yeah.
that you build everything up to a point, and then they continue that ride to nowhere.
Yeah.
It's like there's no way possible you're out of this. You've put yourself in a position where you cannot rise above it.
Well, first of all, you haven't watched season 2 of Ozark.
I know, I haven't.
Because
I
that's
haven't.
not the case in season 2 of Ozark.
I completely agree. I'm just saying after watching a few episodes, that's what I assume. It's just an assumption. It's just my opinion of what I've seen, and that's why I fell out of it. It's just because it was something that was undesirable of me to watch a guy suffer.
Yeah, okay. So it isn't necessarily that you're watching Adam Sandler's character suffer. It's that you're on the journey with him to try and make the big score. And he's got to... Gambling wise. Yeah. And he's got to pay these pipers along the way.
Which seems so ridiculous to me when you have this high-end jewelry boutique to where you could be making tons of money.
Well, but everything's leveraged on this one deal for this gem.
Yeah, for the uncut...
this uncut gem.
Yeah.
That's what the movie's about. Is this gem, and this gem, as you'll see, has
that he just randomly takes Kevin, or lets Kevin Garnett take right off the bat. It's like, oh, this thing is like so precious. It's worth so much money. You want to take it? Okay, go ahead and take it.
I mean, he makes poor decisions.
So dumb
all the time throughout this show. So anyway, and that's another part that annoys me. It's like watching somebody make poor decisions over and over again.
Right, but put yourself in this situation. You know, what if you were Adam Sandler?
Maybe it's garnered enough talk that maybe it is worth watching. You should definitely finish it, because I want to get your take of what the ending is like.
Okay.
And it's 2 hours. It was a long 2 hours. Don't get me wrong. But
is that all it is? I thought it was like 2.5.
I don't know, but it's just a movie. It's not like tying into a season of Ozark.
Yeah, I got you. Yep.